mentally, whether or not that's something you're preparing for?
That's a good question. I think if you look at our team defensive shape without the ball, it's been very good. Think about the Curaçao game when we didn't have the ball for large portions of it. We still weren't threatened that much because of our good defensive shape. So it's something that we're pretty comfortable in. We know Mexico poses different challenges than other teams. We know they're technically very good. And we also think that, there's going to be stages where we need to keep the ball. I think, there's two sides to it. One is maintaining possession. The other is disorganizing the opponent with the ball. I still think we'll be able to do that even if we don't have the majority of the possession.
Next question.
Or when did you guys start looking at that?
We watched every game they played since Tata's taken over. We're scouting all the teams in our region. We think it's very important to have a good hold, a good understanding of teams in our region. So we've been very familiar with them, watching them, enjoying what they've been doing. I think the coach has done a great job. Getting the team to play the way he wants them to play has been nice to see. And, in particular in this tournament, we started following them from their first game against Cuba.
Next question here.
The United States getting better by playing these types of tournaments?
What I'd say is, first of all, I think CONCACAF has done a great job of organizing this tournament and giving other teams in our region a chance to compete against the best. And I think that, ourselves and Mexico have a responsibility to embrace tournaments like this and to perform in tournaments like this. When you look at some nice storylines that have come out of this tournament, it's certainly Haiti. It's also Curaçao. It's these smaller nations that are able to perform against bigger countries that really help soccer in our region.
Next question here.
For tomorrow, are you concerned about the refs?
I think the referees so far in this tournament have done a great job. One thing I'm a little bit critical of CONCACAF is not having VAR. I think it's a necessity in today's modern game. I'm disappointed with that decision. I don't think it's a decision that's good for the game. Having said that, I think the referees in this tournament have been fine. And, what I would only hope is that, regardless of the crowd noise, regardless of the atmosphere, that the referee would be to still be able to perform in an unbiased way. I think that's important. Everyone wants to see a high-quality game. Everyone wants to see a game that the best team on that day wins. And I think the less influence the referee can have on that, the better.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Next question.
On this final as just another game.
Yeah, so there's two sides to it. The first side of it is, you got to remember we're playing in a final. We're playing for a trophy. You don't need much motivation in that. Regardless who is against, you're going to be up for a game like this. When you're playing in a stadium like this with a crowd like we're going to have tomorrow, that's motivation enough. Having said that, we know there's a rivalry. We have a lot of respect for Mexico. We see them as a leader in our region. And it's a great opportunity for us to see where we can stack up. And we know these games are tense. We know these games are heated. And it's a good experience for our group.
Next question here, please, in the front.
Let's talk about what do you remember about that game?
The way I see it is both teams are looking to come out and start the game well, right? No one wants to have a game plan where you don't start strong. So it is something that's important. I don't think it's going to determine necessarily the final outcome of the game. I think you need a sustained effort over the course of the game. You need a good game management of the team. You need to perform well over the course of the 90 minutes or 120 minutes. But one thing I can tell you about the game that you referenced in 2002 was, and I mentioned this before, it was a type of game where every play mattered. You couldn't take one single play in that game off. And that's the intensity of rivalries like this, and the magnitude of a World Cup knockout game is where every little play is in the balance.
Next question here in the front.
That you had for him and kind of taking it to another level.
I think the most important thing, Jeff, that we focused on was giving Christian flexibility, putting him in positions where he could affect the game in a number of different ways. We wanted to play him central, but also get him wide. When you think about him being central, arriving in the penalty box, the 2 goals are a result of him being in good positions to be able to finish off basically plays that end up in front of goal. When you think about some of the assists he's had, they've come in wide areas, notably against Curaçao. So, with Christian, we know he's a top talent. And we want to get him into position to affect the game. We know he can affect the game on an individual level, and he's shown that so far in the tournament.
We have time for 3 more questions. Okay.
Be ultimately.
You know, I think the most important thing with Christian is just, you know, when I think about this month for him, it's been a lot of personal development, and in terms of just him blossoming with his personality within the group, his importance to the team on the field. We all, I think, you know, the skills haven't changed, right, from a month, but in terms of his role, what he's comfortable with, how he's, you know, embracing his role within the team and his role on and off the field, I think it's been really nice to see, and that goes along with some of the other younger guys. Have they stepped into this position of taking responsibility both on and off the field?
Last 2. 1 here, please.
For the qualifiers, what are your opinion about that?
Listen, I think I said it to someone else before. Every game against Mexico has a different layer to it, right? So there's different implications. There's different scenarios in terms of where you're playing, what stadium, what, you know. And what I'd say is that tomorrow is a very special game because we have an opportunity. Both teams have an opportunity to win a trophy. I think that's very important. The qualifiers is a different format. It's you know, the games take on a different layer. Every time you play them is a very intense match, but it varies in terms of you know, what you're looking to get out of the game.
Last question.